camera is not set up properly, but it's good for the plank. So Pumpkin's down here with me today. Hi, Fractal. Fractal's up on the chair, and Pumpkin is on the ground. So, oh, I don't have my clock. So every day I'm doing a 1 and 20-second plank on my live to keep myself accountable and just model that it's good to do little things every day, okay, that are good for us. And a 1 and 20-second plank is not easy, but it's also not impossible. And we can work up from the basic simple one and then get into more time and more challenging ideas. So again, my name is T. Waldron. Welcome to my channel. And let me change it because I had it on 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So we're going to go back to 1 minute and 20 seconds. Yeah, I'm not sure why my comments aren't coming up. So I hope I didn't mess that up. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. It's okay. We'll do comments tomorrow. Okay, so here we go. 1 minute and 20-second plank. And here we go. So yesterday we spoke about one of Mark Passio's videos that he made in, I believe it was either 2008 or 2012, and it was the first one on his website, and it's really very, very powerful. You know, I'd hoped to just take excerpts out of it, but every single bit of his information builds on the next part. So I encourage that you watch the whole thing. We'll put a link in the description to the entire video. Please go watch it because it's a masterwork in information and in truth, which is something that we kind of have lost sight of in much of our society. Okay, kind of there's an overall belief that truth is relative, and it is not. There is, and that was the first thing that we talked about yesterday. Truth can be known. Truth is what is. It's not something debatable. It's not opinion based. It is what's real. And that has been my quest for the past 5 years to, oh, thank goodness, to discover truth within myself. And that's really where it has to start, within ourselves, and then also in the world. So I do highly recommend you check out Mark's video. I think it's about 2 hours long, and it's amazing. So hi, Pumpkin. Pumpkin's joining. I'm going to move my blanket. So, hello, Pumpkin. Will you be joining us today? I hope so. There she is. Okay, fantastic. It's kind of a weird angle. I was shooting some, it was a new short format. So, yeah, I don't know what happened, why my comments aren't on. I do apologize, folks, but that's okay. I have a lot of material to get through, so this will be actually very effective. And I hope you tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m., and I'll definitely have the comments on, and we can have a back and forth, okay? So yeah, so that was my plank. I'm doing 1 minute, 20 seconds every day of this week. And I don't know, next week I might go up, if I feel brave, to like 1 minute and 30 seconds, because it's kind of hard, and it's hard to talk while you're doing a plank. But anyway, let me mic up Pumpkin so she's got her mic on so you guys can hear her purring. And we'll get started. So I was talking about Mark Passio and his first talk called What on Earth is Happening? And he said very specifically, and I love this, that he did not put a question mark at the end of that because he wants to talk about what on earth is happening. And I love that. So again, the first part he said yesterday, what is truth? And he said truth is simply that which is. And we can know truth. There are truths. And we've been told that, oh, it's a matter of perspective. And yeah, we can all have a different perspective on something, but that doesn't necessarily make it the truth. And I thought that's a really, we all think we know the truth. It's the truth. Our perspective we may think is the truth. It may or may not be. So how do we know? And he goes on to talk about our perceptions of truth waver from person to person. So our perceptions are not necessarily the truth. That's what I got from that. And the spiritual journey I am on is to discover truth. And I invite you to join me. I'm glad you're here. If you tuned into this, you're scrolling away from, silly stuff or sexy stuff or whatever, and you're here. So hopefully give yourself the gift of getting to know yourself, and even eventually getting to love yourself if you don't already. And if you do, awesome. Okay, and thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. So he put a quote up from philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, and it said, every truth passes through 3 stages. Does anybody know what those stages are? Because there's no chat. All right, I'll just tell you. So let me take it from the top. I'm going to do the actual quote. Every truth passes through 3 stages before it is recognized. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is opposed. And in the third, it is regarded as self-evident. So that is pretty interesting. And I find that to be true. You're going to not be popular. If you're seeking the truth and you're with people who don't have that same goal in mind, you may start to lose some friends. You may start not to resonate with the people you used to resonate with. And this happened to me. And they're good people. I loved the people I was hanging out with, and we had really fun times. But, I was staying home doing this kind of work, and they were like, come on out and, drink and dance and party with us. And I'm like, yeah, no, the stuff I'm doing right now is more important for me. And, I think it offended them probably, but I had to do it. And then, you sort of find people who are maybe on the same path with you. And I reunited with some old friends. I made some new friends. And, the people that I resonate with now are seeking the truth. They're seeking to be their best self. And there are those people out there, which I was kind of hopeless. When I wasn't at that, with having that goal in mind, I just kind of gave up. I said, there are not real people out there, and I'm just going to have fun and live in this society and just, kind of phone it in. No, there are people out there who do seek the truth, who it's important to them, who want to be their best self, and who are okay with being uncomfortable. That was uncomfortable, okay? That little, plank there. Hi, Pumpkin, thanks for being here. That was uncomfortable. But you know what? It made me better. It made me stronger. And if you keep doing little incremental things that are difficult throughout your day, things that you know are right, eating healthy, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated. By the way, cheers. This is a blueberry coffee with some strawberry protein shake. Oh, that's so good. I'm feeling very berry today. Do what's right. Stay healthy. I should have had water, but here's some tea. This is also a blueberry yogi tea. Cheers. So take care of yourself. That is your number one goal, and maybe decide how much you want to scroll for the day, and maybe set a timer. If you want to scroll. I get it. It's very seductive, scrolling and other things, Okay. Mark goes on to talk about, he uses a quote from George Batali. The truth is paradoxical to the extent of being exactly contrary to the usual perception. So what we thought was true, what we see, how we perceive our lives, George says it's the opposite of the truth. So that's pretty wild. And I tend to agree with that. Now, the last quote, he had another quote, I forget who it was from. It was William Blake, but I didn't include that. But this one from George Orwell, man, it hits home. Now, I loved to learn a little bit about George Orwell's story. I kind of heard he was a spy. He was not officially a spy, but his real name was Eric Blair, and he had many jobs, but he did some work that was used by British intelligence to figure out who were communists and who were Soviet Union sympathizers, and it was pretty interesting. When he died, and this is pretty amazing, the CIA, like all of the intelligence agencies, knew the value of his work for propaganda purposes. So when he passed, the CIA, U.S. Army, and British spies courted his widows, and they ended up being successful with his younger second wife by promising her cash and a date with Clark Gable, who was a famous actor at the time, for the rights to make Animal Farm into a movie, because they wanted to use it for propaganda. Isn't that wild? So they after he died, I don't know how long after, his second wife gave over the rights to Animal Farm for a date with Clark Gable and some cash. Pretty wild. Anyway, the Brits ended up getting kind of second place with the rights to make Animal Farm into a comic strip. So, they still got something from it, but not the whole full-length feature film that Hollywood got. Ironically, so this is crazy. So also his book 1984 was seen as propaganda for the U.S. by Hoover and the FBI, and it was also seen as propaganda for the Soviets by the Soviet Union. So they thought it was, both of them thought it was speaking against the other. That's pretty wild. And more than 41 million copies of Animal Farm in 1984 have been sold. So, and that's since his death. And that's not even counting how many have been in the libraries. How many are in libraries, how many people have read. I did a presentation on on Animal Farm in high school. I did it because it was a 98-page book, and I really didn't want to read a long book. But also, it was really powerful. But I was kind of phoning it in high school. So, but it was great. It was a great story, and it was a cautionary tale. And some people say, some scholars say that he put in the way he saw the world was headed into these stories as a warning. He used the word doublespeak. That's exactly what our politicians do around the world, doublespeak, right? And many other things, many other things. Big Brother. How many of us are watched online? How many of us are surveilled? I think everybody. So it's pretty wild how accurate. I actually read I was in 8th grade in 1984, and I said, well, I need to read this book and see what it's all about. And it was just so disturbing. I remember reading it going, this is horrible. I can't believe people have to live like this dystopian Orwellian society. And it's kind of where we're at right now. So we can fight it, though. We can fight that whole idea by getting to know ourselves and empower ourselves. So that's what we're talking about here. Okay. And here is the quote. I'm going to leave you with this. This is George Orwell's quote. During times of universal deceit, truth-telling becomes a revolutionary act. That's amazing. And Mark Passio had this quote on his screen during his talk, and I recommend check out the talk. We'll put it in the description. We'll put a link to the talk in the description. I know we put one in yesterday, a link to Mark Passio's talk. It's about a 2-hour long. You know what? Put it on while you're driving. You don't have to see the visuals. You can just listen, because he's very eloquent, and he reads everything that's on his slides, and you can just listen to it. If you're doing your housework, doing laundry, you don't have to sit and watch it. I mean, you can. It's awesome. His slides are really well done, and his visuals are engaging and cool. But just listening to it, that's what I was doing. That's how I first heard it. I was doing some sort of outdoor project, and I was like raking and doing like manual labor. But I had headphones in, and I was listening to his work, and it really moved me to take these changes in my life. And I encourage you to do the same. Get to know yourself and get to know the truth. You're worth it. You are eternal. You are powerful. You are infinite, and you're divine. So, yeah, I hope you have a great day. And again, I'm going to say this quote one more time. I know, you're so hungry. I'm going to say this quote again one more time from George Orwell. During times of During times of universal deceit, truth-telling becomes a revolutionary act. Right? Okay, we have to go. Anyway, this was Pumpkin. I'm T. Waldron. That's my cat, Fractal. Hi, Fractal. Thanks for joining us, too. And we're talking about the Mark Passio 4-part series. This is just the second section of part 1. What on earth is happening? And it's literally telling us what's happening on our earth. And what are we dealing with? And how can we best handle it to be our best selves? So from myself to yourself, thank you for joining me on this journey. And I'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. We'll do a longer version. I have to go. My friend's teaching a class right now, and I want to go jump in. All right, bye, everybody. Thanks. And thanks, Imran, Hossain, for... Usually you moderate, but today I think you'll just add the description for me. All right, thanks, everybody. Bye.